of the film, and you can sometimes forget that with award shows. They you know, that ultimately is what they were invented for, was to get people to come out and see these movies in a cinema.
It's sort of, yeah, thank you very much. Lovely response. This was a different experience for you, because it's the first time that you've written a screenplay for.
And then there was the pressure of the fact that we weren't cutting, you know, and so there was no way out of any scene. And I didn't even have the usual luxury and enjoyment of an editorial process where you can sit around for a couple of months with a coffee and let's try that without that scene, let's take that line out, let's play that line over someone's shoulder. We didn't have that. And then, you know, it's been my responsibility also to promote the film. So, you know, largely along with the boys here. So, you know, for me it's felt like an unbroken tension for the last 18 months.
Been in the trenches, basically.
Yes, that's a metaphor I've avoided using.
I'll do it for you.
I will do it now, yeah. So it feels good to have got to this point because we are literally about to actually open the movie for real, which is great. And it was very moving to come into Leicester Square just now, look up and see it actually over the cinema, you know, and because it feels like, to me, it's been around for quite a long time, but, you know, ultimately it hasn't. You know, the general public have not been able to see it, and so this is a big thing for us now.
When you first had the idea for the film, and, you know, from those wonderful memories of your grandfather and the stories that he told you, and knowing that this was a story you wanted to tell and write, did you know at that point there was a specific way that you wanted to tell the story and how you would execute that, and it being this incredible, you know, it just heightens the emotion and the attachment you have to these characters, I think, in your choice of how you shot it and how we very much be part of that journey.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the way to tell it was in 2 hours of real time, and so for me, the decision to, and I prefer to call it a movie without cuts than to say it's a one-shot movie, because for me, it's you know, for me, editing is a way out sometimes, and there's no way out of the movie. You're stuck like glue to these men. The challenge then, you know, on the one hand, it's a ticking clock thriller, and you have to experience every second passing with the men, and you begin to watch, hopefully, in a slightly different way, when you unconsciously realise that there's no way of jumping space and time with editorial tricks. That you have to go on the journey with them, whether you want to or not, you know, and at times you almost don't, you know, you almost don't want to go where they're going to have to go. And in that respect, it behaves sometimes more like a thriller or a horror movie even than a conventional war story. But it felt like the right way to tell the story emotionally. You know, it was an emotional choice to make sure that the audience stuck with the men at every possible point. The challenge then was to have the things you normally have with a movie without cutting. So you still have the wide shots for geography, still express the epic scale of the landscape, still understand the distance that they have to travel, still feel every second passing, but also at times just see them, at times just be close to them and not move, and sometimes just see them and not what they're looking at, sometimes see what they're looking at and not see them. And so that dance, that choreography of the camera and the two characters, or sometimes just one, and the landscape just constantly moving, that was the job of prepping the film. And that's why these boys, who've been amazing and wonderful, and are wonderful in the picture, have been part of the making of the film from the first day. Didn't just turn up for a couple of weeks of rehearsals, they were with us from the very start, because without them, we couldn't have constructed the movie. We built the sets around their journey. We constructed the shots around their journey and around their emotional reaction to what they see, to the way in which they interact with each other. So without the two of them walking on empty fields, we would never have dug the trenches that housed those scenes. And we've made over a mile of trenches. Without them walking, you know, down empty hillsides, we wouldn't have been able to construct the orchard or the farmhouse or, you know, the canal or the towns. They were built around the scenes that were created by the boys. So it was a very unusual process,
yeah.
and it was inextricably linked to these two and to their emotional journey.
And George and Dean, for you too, in terms of, you've never worked together before, but this chemistry that we have, this kind of friendship that we see on screen is absolutely beautiful. And you worked together before you shot in terms of research trips and things like that. How important were those kind of moments for you in terms of kind of discovering the character for you personally?
Yeah, it was vital, and I think it's it's not an extension. It's part of the process that Sam talked about. Just by going step by step and building layer upon layer, I think Dean and I got to know each other through time spent, basically. So spending every day together, hours every day, meeting new challenges, and when you meet something that you've never done before, it's often scary and feels vulnerable, and so to share that. And I think also, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I think I felt quite close to who Schofield is and how he operates as well. So I think Sam, throughout that process would tailor the characters towards how we are as people, and we then got closer and closer to the characters, so there was a sort of meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, again, reflected in, as Dean and I got closer, that sort of, our closeness became unconscious.
Yeah, collaboration seems to be a really important part, Dean.
100%. I mean, I'm just so thankful that we literally did everything together. I mean, until they killed me off. But we did. Then 6 months rehearsals, we were training together, rehearsing together, went to France together, Belgium together to look at some war sites and war graves. And what was quite nice as well is that, not a lot of actors have experienced making a film this way. And it takes a lot out of you. So it was nice to know that someone was feeling the same way. When we'd have a rough day and sort of look at each other and be like, should we go and get a bit of food and a chat? Nice.
Decompress. What were the tough bits? What was the most challenging element for you both in terms of filming?
I think physically, No Man's Land was really tough, and then also Dean's was kind of nice that we could speak about it, but Dean's death scene as well.
Yeah.
Again, because that's a mixture of just the sheer emotionality of it, the physicality, and then the accuracy of the camera work as well, which is, it was a very emotional day, and all of that stuff to repeat it, because again, it was rigorous, the whole shoot, because you do it again and again and again, and not so much the death scene through the emotions of it to save that, but we would rehearse, before we even got to say, doing 40 takes of it, we'd do 20 takes rehearsing. So it was just that kind of constant, right, and also you've got to come in, you've got to set the pace, so from the very first rehearsal you're doing it as you would do, but you also don't know when you're going to finish, because it's not like, once you've got to get it, you've got it in one, so that could be in take 3, or that could be in take 53, so you just have to kind of keep going, and sort of, but you can't really meter yourself, you've just got to keep going.
Well, I know that the kind of run is a prime example of that, isn't it, towards the end, where, talk to us a little bit about that, so that's an incredible story about, that whole filming of that scene, and things really, you having just to kind of keep going whilst, you're almost being knocked over and things like that as well.
Yeah, that was a big day. Like we, and I mean that shot as well is a crane that then gets taken by 2 grips in costume because they can't get out of the shot. So they then hook that onto a tracking vehicle on the move as it all goes, and they circle round to become some of the men that run through. And then also, there are also a bunch of happy accidents, as you say, and then I got knocked over a number of times, which wasn't planned. But,
You react so good.
Until Sam says stop, you don't stop. So we just kept going. But that was a really, really special day, because everything you see on screen was there. Those were big explosions. There was 500 men that we had there. So it was really special.
Wow.
And that shot, actually, the only thing I had to do with that shot was to dub out the swear words, because when George got knocked down, there was some loud swearing. But it kept going. And it was a little bit like, because all the crew, it's very unusual on a movie, because it tends to be the case if you're working on close up, probably hair and makeup are pretty interested, but special effects, not so much, right? And when you're working on a big explosion, hair and makeup are nowhere to be seen. But in this movie, every member of every department was engaged in every shot, because it was the movie. So you had 300 people clustered around, monitor screens, cheering George on. It's like a sporting event. And I was at the far end I had a little horse box, which had my monitor screens in. And I had to have a very big monitor screen because there was so much information and detail in every frame. And he was getting closer to me, and the explosions were getting louder and louder. And when you got to the last bit of the trench, and the last explosion went off, it was so loud it knocked my monitor screen off. It smashed. I never told you that. But they're big, and it was, I was fair to say you were adrenalised, I think.
Would you agree with that? What was the expectation of going into this as an actor, what this experience would be like versus the reality of it? Was it what you expected, or was it?
I didn't know what to expect, if I'm totally honest with you. I even remember the first time meeting Sam and him explaining the one shot. I mean, he explained it very well, but there still was so much to process. I hadn't quite fully understood what that meant for us.
Yeah.
It was until when they're doing it, then you realise, oh, I see how this is going to be. But, you know, to be honest, I really do think making a film this way as an actor really is an actor's dream. You do get lost in these long takes. The longest take we did was Blake's death scene, and that was 8.5 minutes long. And I remember the first time we did it, and then they called cut, I just couldn't stop crying. I just couldn't get out of that emotion. And the thing is as well, doing this film, everything was so realistic, down to the detail of the trenches, the costumes. You know, I had a blood pack in one of my backpacks in the death scene, and I was bleeding out. And it was amazing. You really do get lost in the doing of it.
I mean, it's interesting, but just an example of what George is talking about just then, which is, you know, that scene, you know, both of them, Dean in particular during the death scene, it's fantastic, absolutely incredible bit of acting. But if right at the end, after he dies, the camera has a little move that goes round behind George, and George has to put the rings in his pocket, he has to reach out and get the photograph. It has to be lifted up just at the right time so we can see the photograph. It has to keep going around while George looks around, you know, and there's a certain amount of intuition between camera operator and actor there about trying to time it so that he comes around as George is looking around for where he's going to lie Blake's dead body, and then he lifts him up and the camera has to follow him around. Now, if at any point in that the camera operator trips, or George picks up that, you know, drops the photograph, or a prop breaks, or he can't get the ring off his finger, all that magic that Dean did, all that performance, the beauty of that performance, we can't use it. You just can't use any of it, you have to start again. And so, you know, it's fair to say that in every scene, until we got it, we were thinking, why have we done this to ourselves? Why? And then you get it, and you're like, this is the best way of working. This is the best. There's no other way of working but this. And I think it's the same for the actors, you know, it's like, this is ridiculous, we have to do that again, you know, at that level.
Yeah.
So it was swings and roundabouts, you know, but then when you get it, it's exciting. And Andrew Scott's scene, you know, which is probably 7 minutes or whatever, he did it 56 times, I think.
Yeah. He's not here, we can say he made the most mistakes.
He made the most mistakes. And it wasn't just him, there were props galore in that scene. But, you know, a lighter doesn't work at the end of the scene, and it's the whole scene's gone, you know. So yeah, it was that sort of thing every day.
Wow. How many takes did you
Do the tragedy and love in it. It's absolutely beautiful score.
Was it easy
Well,
to
that's
construct?
very well put, thank you. I normally have to make that speech. But I agree, I think it's incredible score, but I think it was a difficult score. But look, if you've got no ability to cut, to vary pace, or to impose momentum or create tension, you can't do that in cut. You are entirely dependent on score for that, and the way the camera moves, those two things. And that's what Tom manages to do. There are long periods of low-grade psychic disturbance where you feel like something's about to happen. I'm not quite sure why or when or what it is. And the movie's very dependent on that for large stretches in the first half, and that comes entirely from the score. He does it seemingly effortlessly. But it's also a very present tense film. It's very difficult with music. Often comments on action, distances you from it, takes you, gives you a kind of gold shot. And here I was trying to stick very, very closely to action, remain very present tense until the moment he wakes up at night, George, in the town, at which point I think the movie and the music goes into another realm.
It's brilliant. Right, sorry, I'm taking up so much time. Questions, please. We have a gentleman right there. Hello. We'll get a mic to you as quick as we can, and then we'll come down the front. Just right in the middle here, if we can, please. Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for your work. This is, I think, for all three of you. On the back of the score conversation about the kind of mixing in the mythic nature of it in the town scene and having the sense of disturbance beforehand, both preparing for the film and when you were shooting it, to what extent did you keep in mind that you wanted to tell a story that wasn't, necessarily entirely truth, the stories that you've been told, did you kind of feel like you wanted to keep, as well as the fact that it's still moving and it's a real-time story, at the same time the fact there's intrigue and there's development of actual character?
I mean, obviously it's a compression. You know, the movie is a compression of time and distance. It doesn't actually travel 9 miles, but you should feel like it does. And there are many tricks within that as to how you do that. For example, the time when he travels the most distance at the back of the truck. And we do that through use of music and the camera panning away from the land across which they're travelling. So you begin to forget about it. And you accept that that distance has been travelled. And that, if you look at that in microcosm, that's what the movie does. Like a piece of music, you hope it breathes in and breathes out. It follows a fast movement with a slow movement. It shifts atmosphere constantly, it shifts tempo,